guys started with the 3-man back line. Was that to counteract something Cincinnati was doing, or is that process just trying to mesh the first team?
Yeah, it's process. I think any good team can play in 2 or maybe 3 formations. Obviously, a lot of times we're playing with what looks like a back 3 with the way we come out and build. But it was the first time sort of playing a strict 3-man back line, and it's good for the players. I think it suits our personnel, so that was a little bit of the thought as well. We pressure tested it, right? We trust the guys, and we threw it in a difficult environment, and ultimately that's progress,
Do you think, was that change at all indication of the first 25 minutes were pretty quiet, but after that, a lot of goals scored?
Mm-hmm.
Is that anything to do with the new change there, or something Cincinnati was doing?
Listen, Cincinnati has some players that are a handful. There's no question about that. And guys that have played all over the world. I think the game kind of broke open in an interesting way, and we made a few mistakes. More, I would say, small individual mistakes than sort of systemic mistakes. And of course, we gave as good as we got. I think Cincinnati played a little more direct and tried to get a lot of balls behind our back line. And at times we dealt with it really well, and at times we could have dealt with it better. So as we've seen all year long, it's a really resilient group, and nothing phases them. So to go down 2-0, 2-1, 3-1, 3-2, we went into the halftime actually feeling quite good about the game, and the guys were excited, and we'd had some really good spells, and so ultimately we went into halftime feeling pretty good and excited for the second half, and obviously it's a big crowd and an intense environment, which is good for everybody involved.
What do you make of Jon Gallagher as a striker?
Yeah, Jon has a lot of attributes that make him pretty flexible positionally, and we know he's good around the goal. And so one of the thoughts was, just to get him a little closer to goal and get him a little higher on the back line. And they had some big guys that were coming through him with things in the air, but he also had some good moments when the game favored him, which of course is on the ground, which is the way we play as a club and we play as a team.
How's he improved this season? What's the biggest area?
I think Jon is an intelligent player in person, and so he's always asking questions and taking things on board. We talk in detail, him and I, about game situations, about opponents, about his game. Very competitive, very driven, and always wants honest feedback, which as a coach I really appreciate, and I seek from him as well, because he's an experienced player. So I think it's just a function of him becoming more consistent, continuing to improve physically, and obviously get a little bit of an ankle knock early in the year. So I still think we have yet to see his best, quite honestly, and just continuing to be cleaner and get the ball in better and better places. Smart player coming from a good youth background and college system, but of course the pro game is different. It's faster, it's more physical. You have to think faster, act faster, be better technically.
You talked about how you guys played in front of a big crowd, played in front of more fans than this past weekend. Do you think that was good for? How did that affect the players?
Great experience for all the guys. The way it affects them is right, the noise level and the intensity of it means that you're not able to hear your teammates, you're not able to hear your coaches. We're not able to help them through the game maybe as much as we typically could in a smaller environment. So they're on their own a little bit more. And for a youngster like Kendall playing on the opposite side of the field in the first half, he's on a little bit of an island and has to make his own decisions and listen more to his teammates and his coaches. So it just makes all of the processes in a game a little more difficult for the players because they're a little bit isolated.
It was Sean's first start. What did you think of him this past weekend?
Yeah, I think Sean needs games. So that was one of the things we were doing with giving him the game. Sean has a ton of pace. He's an attacking player as a wingback. Probably still short of match sharpness. And I think Sean will be the first to admit that. But working him in and getting him more and more touches is important.
Kisadu had a great goal in the first half and then was subbed off at halftime. What was the thought process behind taking him off early?
Yeah, so unfortunately Laurent was out for a number of weeks with a little bit of an injury, and so we follow return to play protocols to make sure that we're doing the right things, doing the best things for the guys individually, and so the right thing for him was for him to play a shorter spell in that game. He really came alive in the second part of the first half, and so yeah, it's difficult to take him off. He doesn't want to come off, but as with most things with our team, we're making sure we keep a broad perspective and doing what's right for Laurent. But we're thrilled to have him back. As we saw in that second 20 minutes, he really can be a difference maker.
Things got pretty chippy in the second half. Do you talk to your players about maybe calming down, or do you just let the players handle that themselves?
For the most part, they're pretty well controlled. I think we do talk about having emotional control and staying even keel in the game so that we don't lose our heads. Yeah, there was a few elbows thrown and things like that. For the most part, our guys did a good job of staying composed, even in difficult circumstances. Obviously, with a loud crowd and players from Cincy that are experienced, which means that they know how to, whether it's trying to get under your skin a little bit or a little jab here or there. Not suggesting anything dirty, but just the gamesmanship that is indeed part of the pro game. But I think by and large the guys handle themselves pretty well.
And what's the status of Yosef? We haven't seen him the past couple matches.
Yeah, he had a little tweak a few weeks ago on his knee, and so he's working his way back, and we're excited to get him back. And I think he's further along than maybe we were wondering if he would be. So the medical staff is great, and as soon as we get him back, we'll be excited to have him back, because he definitely helps us play the way we want to play in that high energy, forward thinking way. He's a big part of that. Yeah.
The first team is scheduled this week, and a few injuries for you guys. How do you expect that to? I guess do you expect to use a lot of your depth facing out this week?
Yeah, we've had a relatively consistent roster, which is nice because it gives those players a chance to mesh in, and now we're seeing, I think, that start to bear itself out. So we don't get too hung up on results. We look more at performances and improvement. And although, of course, we would have loved that things gone differently in the last 3 games, by and large, the performances have been trending in the right direction, which is most important for me as a coach and for our group of guys. Performances have been trending in the right direction. I don't get too hung up on statistics by themselves, but in the greater context of things, the numbers say that things are going in the right direction as well. And so that's been the message to our team against some good teams in this league. We've had the better of play in stretches, possession, shots in certain games, and so that process will bear itself out. There's no question in our mind, and I think part of that is now some of the continuity for some of these guys, whether it's Andrew or Chris or John, getting consistent games. Ollie's had consistent games now, and so that's been nice. And then we have some depth, and so if we have to go to that, we have to go to that for the game.